Hey everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be the first video of a video series that I will record my progress of developing a Captive Blast game in Unity. So I want to basically start with the project structure. Now I'm just doing the very much the fundamentals. That's a board, and on this board there are going to be a couple of blocks. And the user is going to match the blocks, for example, by switching these two. The user is going to find that, well, there's this match here, and this match is going to be blessed. So it's the same game logic with all other Tap the Blast games. Well, let me show you the code structure. Here we have a grid manager, which is the which is the class that I manage the entire game mechanic. Here I have an awake method at which I call the grid creator, for example, for creating grid. And other classes that handle the gameplay are also created and initialized here. So I have a grid manager class, which is basically managing everything about this grid that we see when we start playing this game. There are a lot of issues here that I only laid out the fundamentals. There's one problem which continuously came up, developing that simply when a version of the game. So I initially completed a simple version of the game, then I saw that my code was really messy, so everything was in the grid manager. Then I wanted to make it more modular by putting things into other classes. For example, I have a score manager, match detector, and gravity manager where you find a match, and the blocks that are blasted, the blocks above it are going to fall down. This class manages it. So everything these classes were in the grid manager previously, but now since I just made everything modular, it's lots of bugs. It doesn't work properly, but will work over time, and I'm going to record my progress. So one quick note for this video is going to be that most of the time, what happened with that game was that I coded the logic. It looks very simple, easy to use, easy to go with, but the problem was a lot of race conditions. For example, in the grid manager here, I call the stack coroutine initialize grid. So what is stack coroutine? Stack coroutine is basically starting another thread, which is detached from this main thread. For example, this program started, this script started run. So this class is loaded, the game started, and with the await function is called, and the program starts executing these lines. And then here, we create another thread detached from the main thread, and it's running on its own. So what is this thread? Let's go to it. This thread is for initializing the grid. It basically creates the blocks and at positions, and then fills these arrays, which are very important for the game logic. One is called block positions, and the other one is called the grid array. I use arrays for finding matches and blasting, looking for all blocks in the grid and blasting the match ones and so on. I will show them in later videos how I use these two arrays. Here, I want to mention the race condition. Okay, so here what happens is this. Okay, I want to control it. Once I initialize the grid, I fill the grid randomly with random colored blocks. There are 4 colors, if I don't remember it wrong, like blue, yellow, red, and green. With these 4 colors, randomly the grid is filled. But the problem is that there can't appear matches in the very beginning. I don't want this to happen because I don't want the player to see a match appearing in the screen when the game starts. I just want the game start with a board where there are no matches. So how I deal with that? Well, I randomly create the grid, then I blast matches which randomly accidentally occurred, and then refill them randomly again. If new matches appear, even at that case, I again do the same thing. I refill them randomly, and then I blast those matches. I repeat this until there are no matches accidentally existing there. So this might not be the ideal way. There might be some algorithmic ways of creating the grid such that there are not going to be any matches. But I thought that probably these methods are going to create pretty much the similar grids. So maybe making it randomly is going to be better. So I can just review and refine it later on. Maybe I can find a better algorithm. And if you know any good ways of dealing with that, maybe you can leave a comment there. I'm just a beginner, super beginner in game dev and Unity. So that's it. So how did I resolve this? Well, so what is the problem here? Let's go with the problem. The problem is this: a check for matches. So I check for matches here, all right, and I start a coroutine if there is a match, which is called destroy matched blocks. All right. What happens is this. So here, when I didn't add this previously. So when there's no timer here, and there's no sleep here, what happens is I create the grid here, but before the memory is refreshed with these blocks, you know, I think the Unity API is slow. And you create blocks here, but the blocks that you created are not understood or are not read by this check for matches function right here. So what happens is you create the blocks, you think that you created the blocks using the Unity API, for example, instantiate, but actually when you call this function here and the program execution passes to the next line, the block actually does not exist there immediately. It takes some time. So you think that you created the grid, you initialized everything, any other function can see now the matches, but it's actually not the case. So that because you think that you created using the Unity API, using this instantiate function, but it is not actually in the memory yet because the instantiate function takes some time to execute and it doesn't block there. At least this is my guess. So then what happens is you think that you created, you immediately try to check it, but you can't check it because it's not yet in the memory yet. So this is, I believe, the problem, and I resolve these sort of problems. I faced this sort of problem many times. I'm not exactly sure, oh, this is really the reason. This is how the instantiate function works, but this was my guess. Oh, this is what's happening. And after getting this race condition concern into account, now I can resolve many problems that I had previously, but now I don't have them because I just can simply solve them by sleeping this thread a bit. Okay, so thank you for listening. This was the very first video. I know that I even didn't mention the overall game structure of the game, but you know, I'm trying to make it have the blast game, and I'm a super beginner in Unity. So I wish that this video is going to inspire some other people, and it's going to also, the YouTube channel, the series is going to motivate me to make progress in my project and learn Unity. Thank you for listening.